Hi guys, thanks for coming back to my channel. I wanted to talk about Trisha Paytas and Ethan Klein. Now, I first off am getting very sick and tired of hearing about this. Okay. Now, Trisha Paytas, there's a lot of videos being made about her currently, about how she has lied about being sexually assaulted by this teacher that she decided to name on TikTok. I think it was TikTok, if I'm not mistaken. And it's like, why would you put somebody's name out there and then say that they were your 8th grade teacher when they did not even teach in your school in 8th grade? And then she continued to say that she had 3 separate incidents with 3 separate teachers. And it's like, all right, like, what are the chances of that? I don't think they're very high that one young girl would be assaulted in a sexual manner by 3 separate teachers in one school. Now, I know when I was in middle school, it was 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Now, I could see maybe it happening once to one person, but for it to happen 3 times to one person is kind of outrageous. Now, I don't believe a damn thing Trisha Paytas says anyway, because she is a liar. She's a whore. And this is nothing new. Everybody knows this who has watched her channel, watched any of her videos. So I don't understand. Once Trisha started doing frenemies and she was teamed up with Ethan, it was like, oh, she tried to redeem herself. Like, once a whore, always a whore. But, okay. Now, enough fun in making fun and stuff like that. But seriously, it was like Ethan cleaned up her image, and then she met Moses and her getting engaged and everything like that. It was like, all right, she thought the people looked at her differently than what they really do, because she felt like she had found redemption within the people of YouTube and social media. So she tried to make up these stories so that people would think that A, she was relatable, or B, she is a victim. Now, the only people that are victims are the people who believe Trisha Paytas. Now, I'm sorry if your story changes constantly and all of a sudden you talk about one incident and then all of a sudden it becomes 3. Like, that sounds kind of funky and weird, but I just don't know. Oh, I still got makeup on the back of my hand. Ugh. It's white and red on one side. You can see it. Don't mind my scars. I had an accident and messed myself up. We'll talk about that one day. One day when I feel comfortable talking about it. Because it was tragic and hurtful. But anyway, there is this person, Mysterious T. That's the name of the channel. And they have been putting out video upon video upon video about Trisha Paytas and her lies, and the proof of her lies, and the proof of her switching her stories up. And from all the different scenarios that she gave, which said that, like XYZ happened to her, it was like, the different, she told, like, I think she said, Mysterious T said, like, 12 different stories. Even though in her book and on her old videos, she would constantly talk about how she looked at her teachers sexually and how her teachers had never touched her. So, ugh, I hate hair in my face. I always wear my hair up because I cannot stand hair in my face. But I've been trying to let my hair relax a little bit because I feel like I'm going bald-headed from constantly pulling my hair back. It's like when my grays come in, they are horrible. Ay, ay, ay. But at the end of the day, Trisha Paytas is a liar, and people need to stop believing in the things that she says because they're untrue. They are untrue. And I feel bad for any sexual assault victim, especially when you're a child. Like, I'm sorry. She makes victims look like liars, just like all of those other women and girls that have said that something happened to them when they know that they were lying. Like, why would you lie about something like that? That is definitely not something to lie about. And I just wish that people would be like, oh, well, don't victim blame. Okay, well, you have to have a victim before you are able to victim blame. And again, Trisha Paytas is not a victim. Her subscribers are victims for believing the lies that she has told. And it's like all of the drama channels just continuously talk about Trisha Paytas. And then, all right, Ethan, you're backdooring. You're trying to make it seem like you're not a part of it, but you're trying to help out the people who are exposing Trisha. So it's like just throwing gasoline on a fire. Like, this is going to be an in-law. So why continuously fight back and forth? Like, it's just not worth it. Life is too short. And I'm sorry, if people have not realized that after this past year, because I am quite sure that suicide is up highly. Because I know I went through my own mental illness during the shutdown for COVID and everything. And, you know, I strongly believe that a lot of their reasoning for closing things down were to cause mental anguish with people who already suffered from depression and anxiety and things of that nature. It made it no bueno. And I just think that it's horrible when people will use their audience to either attack somebody and let's be real, all these influencers, which I hate that word, influencer. Like, who do you influence but the children? And it's a shame because us as parents, we really, like, my daughter is 23 years old. I will be 40 this year. Very shortly, too. Today's the 19th. In 9 days, I will be 40 years old. And like I said, I have a 23-year-old daughter. I was 16 when I became a mother. And I have always tried to instill in my daughter to have a strong enough mind that where you are not easily influenced. And I really strongly believe that children nowadays need a lot more guidance than they are given, because it's not only about, like, you can't just give your child a phone and be like, oh, here, entertain yourself. No, that's the same thing like putting your child in front of the television and telling them to entertain themselves. Like, it doesn't work like that. It does not work. You need to entertain your children. You need to spend that time with your children. You need to let them know that it is not okay to follow someone who openly, admittedly stated that they were a whore and that they've caught several STDs or whatever. This girl said Trisha Paytas is just a sad excuse for an influencer. And I feel sorry for her young, impressionable fans who believe what she says. And I hate the word fans also. Like, fans are short for fanatics. Like, this is the same thing as idol worshiping. And it's just a shame. It really is just a shame. I feel sorry for these young kids nowadays. They don't know who they are. They don't know who that they should look up to, because let's be real, there are not strong let's not use the word idols. There are not strong influences in society nowadays. Everything is going along with the, oh, me too. Like, oh, you were sexually assaulted? Oh, yeah, me too. Like, nah, honey, it don't work that way. Stop it. And then it's like, I sit here and watch the other drama channels like Dustin Daily and The Viewer's Voice. And, Nick is going through a lot. He lost his mother to COVID. And, people start talking about, oh, how he was sharing his story for clout, which, people use that word clout nowadays like it is just something that is new. Like, no, this is a word that is being recycled, because this word was being used back when I was a child. And, I grew up in the 80s, early 90s, because I was born in 81. So, but I had my own incident with a grown-ass man that should have never happened. I was asked to assist with the newspaper route. People used to go out and deliver newspapers. So a friend of my mother and my stepfather had asked if I can help him with this newspaper route and that he would pay me. So they said yes. They allowed me to go, and I went, and about a little bit more than halfway into doing the paper route, he started asking me things like, oh, you have a boyfriend? Like, obviously you knew that I had a boyfriend, and I was 14 at the time. Let me not forget to mention that. And he was like, oh, like, he knew I had a boyfriend because my mother and stepfather run their mouth about everything that has to do with anybody else besides them. So, and my boyfriend was my next door neighbor at the time. So he was like, oh, if you and your boyfriend ever want to come by, you can use my room. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, why? So you could set up a camera? Like, are you nasty? But I didn't say anything, and I was just like kind of shrugging off what he was saying. Then he continued to insist that if I let him spank me, he would give me extra money. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but when I was 14, I was very, very, very intelligent, especially to the ways of the world, because of the fact that I was neglected. I was abused as a child. Like, so my first thoughts were like, oh well, if he goes to touch me at all, I got to get out of the car. And then I was like, okay, well, I had a couple dollars on me. I was like, oh, like I could just go hop on the train and go home and get home without having to walk all the way from where I was at, because I was about a good 5-6 towns over. And, I had told my mother's friend who was watching my little brother and sister at this time. She was there when I got home. So I had mentioned it to her, and she had mentioned it to my mother, and my mother obviously told my stepfather, which I don't even like calling him my stepfather. Like, they got divorced anyway, but he was never any type of father figure to me, so we'll just call him Shit. His name is Shit. So even after I had, like they were fully aware of the situation of what happened, they still allowed this man to come over to the house. And they allowed him to come over because, how people would order pay-per-view fights or wrestling matches or whatever, he would usually pay for it, and then they would watch it. But I'm sorry, that's no excuse. If my daughter had ever came to me and said that somebody did something to her, there'd be no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm going to address the situation, and you're either going to go to jail or I'm going to fuck you up, because you are not going to make my baby girl feel any type of way. But of course, I was neglected. I was the middle child out of 5. So it was like, I don't know. I just never got anything. Like, the things that my 2 older brothers had got, I never got. The love and attention that everybody else got was something that I never got. There was one time I actually remember my mom giving me a hug and a kiss, and that was when I was in the 8th grade, and I was graduating the 8th grade. But other than that, no. My stepfather used to not let me eat when I was home, when I was pregnant, when my mom would go to work. So it was a lot. He used to sit there and tell me, oh, you're not going to get to keep your baby. Your baby's going to get adopted. It's going to get taken away from you. And then it was crazy because when my little brother was in the 2nd grade, he brought a knife to school. And mind you, he had issues to where the school said he had ADHD and ADD, and so of course my mom and them went and started to put him on medication. And it's like, how can you put a little child onto medication like that? These are medications like Depakote that you give to sex offenders in prison. What the hell are you doing to him? But of course, they're not good parents, so of course they would do that. Craziness. But this video is about 20 minutes long, and I'm going to wrap it up now. But I just wanted to say that, lying about sexual assault is definitely not something that anyone should do. And for Trisha Paytas to use her platform to not only lie about somebody, but then to call him out by name, thinking just because he's deceased that it's not going to come up again or anything like that. That's just bad. That is just bad. And then continue to say that he got arrested for child pornography on his computer at work. Dude retired already some years back, and that was before he had passed. So it's come on now, Trisha, stop it. Everybody's getting sick and tired of you. You're about to get canceled for good. Your boyfriend or your fiance is cheating on you. Oh, it's a shame. Your life is falling apart. right in front of your face and you don't know what to do to pick it up and put it back together, you might want to get some help, girlfriend, because you need to grow up. All right, guys. Please subscribe to my channel. Like the video. I will be having a lot more story times coming out because there's a lot of things that I really want to just like get off my chest, and I see this being a good platform to do so. Plus, you know, I strongly feel like there's a lot of my stories that can help a lot of you guys out. So, I love you guys. Stay safe. Hit the like button, subscribe. Mwah. Peace.